it is so awesome at
Exactly.
speeding
Yeah.
that up for me.
Everyone uses it in a very different way, like through telehealth calls. It's very adaptable.
You can also do it for consult calls. So every month or 2 months that you see this client, or maybe once every year, like you can always go back and have that. And then the sales calls.
You can kind of think of it as like your personal assistant that manages documentation, patient interactions without kind of having to spend that time on admin. It's extremely user friendly. We're going to be using it is very, very customizable. That is one of the things that makes Heidi extremely special. It is free for everyone, which is great.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This week we are being joined by Catherine. Catherine is with Heidi Health. I'm so excited to dive in a little bit further into Heidi Health. So I've been using it for a couple months now, and it's really helped to expedite not only my consult calls and automate all my templates around that, but one thing that we were chatting about earlier was even using it for things like sales calls so that you have a template that already has all your coaching packages in it. And then we address the specific things that's mentioned. And so there's just so many ways that you can use Heidi Health to automate your calls, whether it be consult calls, check-in calls, sales calls. And what we were doing in the past, at least in my business, is that we were using things like Otter or Fireflies or whatever the AI tool was. We were taking the transcription, asking AI to then summarize it for us, and then coming back. And now it's just all automated and it's free. And so I was like, amazing. So why don't you take us a little bit further into Heidi Health? What's the quick backstory? Who's it for?
No, absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. So, Heidi is, if you've never used a tool like this, with your patient interactions without kind of having to spend that time on admin. So it was founded by Thomas Kelly, who's a doctor. He was a surgeon and kind of found himself frustrated with how time consuming admin work was. He wanted to become a doctor, to work with patients and felt like the amount of time that doctors spent on admin and documentation just wasn't the best usage of their time. So, sort of drawing on that experience, he built Heidi as an AI powered tool that is basically just designed to just transcribe, summarize your client encounters. So, it's just for improving your efficiency from small practices to large health systems. And it's really just enhancing the healthcare experience overall, just reducing that administrative burden and giving professionals more time to connect with their patients.
Amazing. We love it when we buy back our time and automate things.
Exactly.
So, um,
Exactly.
instead of talking about why it's different, how it's different than all of these other tools, why don't you show us and give us like a little demo? We could
Yeah,
even do a pretend consult call or sales call.
no
Um,
doubt.
that would be
Yeah,
helpful.
absolutely. So let me share my screen. So here we go. There we go. Let me know if you can see it. Okay.
I can't. Oh, I can see it.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. So this is Heidi. So it's extremely user friendly, but let me just walk you through some of the big things and then we'll do a little bit of a demo. So just to start, right in here is where you're going to type your patient name. I used my own name, but we could switch that. Like say we wanted to use Tasha's name instead. So that's where you're going to put in your patient name. You can make a patient folder so you can have multiple sessions with one patient kind of held in one space. Um, the only thing you need to do to start Heidi is press start transcribing. From there, you're going to have a conversation with your patient, and Heidi will pick it up, create a transcript, and then using a template, it will develop a note for you. So today, because we are working as dietitian, we're going to pull up a dietitian note. And this is just an example that we're going to be using. It is very, very customizable. That is one of the things that makes Heidi extremely special is it's not just made to fit into another system, if you document your things with very specific categories, it's supposed to sound and look exactly like how your note would. So I guess I'll get into more details later, but why don't we just start with like a mock consult? I could, play the patient and you could play the coach, and then we can see Heidi work its magic. Sound good?
Let's do it. I love it.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to just press start describing and we can go ahead.
All right, Catherine, thank you so much for joining us on this consult call. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about the symptoms that you're experiencing and how I can help?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been just struggling a little bit with my sleep.
Mhm.
I've been finding that I'm more tired during the day, but have a hard time falling asleep at night.
Mhm.
So I know I've been working on changing my diet. I think I am good about like my calorie deficit and eating well during the week. Sometimes that falls off during the weekend. Like I kind of allow myself weekends to be a little bit like looser on when
Uh-huh.
I'm, what I'm eating and things. And then exercise wise, I mostly just walk, like walking to work. I'm
Mhm.
sure I could work in more. That would probably be better for me as well. But I guess I was just looking for sort of some intel on how I could, better impact my sleep, whether it's diet or
Mhm.
supplements or kind of just to get your advice on that.
I love that. So first off, I love the fact that you're enjoying yourself. You just moved into a new city. You're enjoying yourself on the
Hmm.
weekends. That's so important. And also, living in New York is no joke when it comes to getting in your steps. Like you will get in your steps,
Yeah,
like for sure.
so true.
Um, but one thing that I could recommend to you is to utilize what I call is the 4-3-2-1 method. So 4 hours before bed, you'll stop working. 3 hours before bed, you'll stop eating. 2 hours before bed, you stop drinking. And then 1 hour before bed, you remove electronics. And this kind of gives your body enough
Hmm.
time to digest food properly so that you don't fall asleep with like a really full stomach. But it also allows you not to drink a ton of water and then wake up throughout the night trying to have to go to the bathroom. So I like using that method. I forget where I originally had heard that, but I really like that one. And so if we wanted to dive further into, for example, supplementation, I would want to hear maybe we could do magnesium. And actually, I really want to send you ashwagandha to take before bed.
Okay, awesome. So what would those things do just for me, just so I understand a little bit better?
Yeah, so I mainly did it because I wanted Heidi Health to pick up on this
Yeah,
as
totally.
a
Yeah, and it
task,
will.
so that we could show people for it. But I would
Yeah.
say obviously supplementation is not my first go-to.
Yeah.
Magnesium is going to help you with falling asleep before bed, specifically magnesium glycinate, and then ashwagandha is more so that stress relief. And so for a lot of people, it can kind of just help aid in their sleep, but also in overall inflammation if that stress is causing and leading to inflammation.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I think that's plenty just to,
Yeah.
to start our note off. Um, So Heidi is basically now that it has its transcript, is going to take all of that information and generate a note based on the template that we gave it. So as you can see here, it's slowly but surely generating all of the codes and the notes. So this is going to be a super, super simple note here.
Hmm.
So it's just the assessment and intervention. If we need something that's a little bit more detailed, we can always add more detail to it.
Hmm.
So just to give a good look of that. So maybe I want a high detail and I would like no bullets but quotes,
Hmm.
and no abbreviations. So then once I click out of that, Heidi's going to regenerate and we're going to be able to see, okay, now there's going to be more context, more information in here.
Hmm.
So,
So one thing that I like to do is I like to make multiple notes per client. So for example,
mhm.
what you could do is you could do like a note for yourself and you could use those patient quotes and things that you would want to keep private from the patient as like notes for yourself of things that they said and use the quotations. And then what you can also do is, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
can also make it,
picture.
I was going to say dietitian has the T. It's the very
Yeah, the tea.
common. But the second thing that I like to do is use a second note to make and draft the email with my custom email template. And so that way we have like a recording of my notes, and then we also have the email of what I had sent to the patient, which may then remind me to say, like, it says like schedule task. And I think you had exited out, but it will tell you like
Oh,
I had a consult call previously, and I on the right hand side it had told me it was like send full script to patient, send link to like resource, send, and
hmm.
it just, and every single time, just like, great, check, 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 copy and paste email template, do all these things, client close. Like, it is so awesome at
Exactly.
speeding
Yeah.
that up for me. So I love using it there. And then another thing that I like using it for, I had mentioned previously. So you could do that for check ins every week. And that way it's like every week you just have this note that's consistently happening. You can also do it for consult calls. So every month or 2 months that you see this client, or maybe once every year, like you can always go back and have that. And then the third
Yeah.
thing is sales calls. Because if I'm on a sales call with a new client and a new patient, like you can really start their whole journey with you on that first sales call together, and it can auto populate with another custom template, all your sign up links. It mentions like what they're mainly looking for, and maybe you have some sort of specific sales script that you like to include in your follow up emails if you didn't close on the call. So I think it's so awesome to be able to use one platform for all of these things and keep it in one almost patient folder.
Totally. No, absolutely. I think that's such good like intel from how you've used it yourself. And also there's just to show you a little bit more about what it does. So say that maybe, let's see, maybe I want to add some context here and say, well, my patient looked really tired today, but maybe I don't want to say that out loud while we're transcribing, like, you look really tired. So you could add in here, patient appears tired. And then once you do that, you can sync those changes and regenerate the note. And
Yeah.
that's just going to add then making a more informed note for when you're using it in the future. So if you can see appears tired right here, so
Mhm.
that's going to come up there. I also added quotes. So if you maybe want to have direct quotes with your patient, this isn't necessarily for charting or anything like that. But if that's how you like to write your notes, you like to have a lot more context and detail on your patient, that is always an option. So right here, you can see just sort of the assessment, diagnosis, intervention, monitoring, and evaluation. If you maybe want to change something about this template, you're just going to click View Edit Template, go in here. It looks a little intense. I feel like sometimes people see this and get intimidated. It's actually very easy to edit. And if you ever need help, you can just click this little button that says, I need help. And it will sort of break down for you exactly what the brackets versus the parentheses mean.
Mhm.
And just to give you a little bit of an idea too, if you change something in plain text, that's exactly how it's going to show up. So if I want this not to be in caps lock, this bracket here is basically things that Heidi fills in. And it's just the content. For example, it gives them context of what you would like to add in that section. And then in the parentheses, it's a little bit more detail. So it's going to more like an instruction for Heidi on how to add that context in there. But for just to show you in a really small example, once you press save and use, it will automatically edit that note and create a new template through that with you. And you can see that right here. And I guess there's so many things that I would love to show, but the last thing I'd love to do is just say down here into Ask Heidi, you can ask Heidi basically to create a referral letter, maybe a patient explainer, or any additional note that you might need. Or you can also inquire about the conversation, about the note itself. maybe from the conversation you forget something that I said and don't want to look through the transcript, you can just ask Heidi here at the bottom. But let's say I want to create a patient explainer from this note. Heidi's automatically going to generate that for us. And so now we have this, and it, says hello, the patient's name. It will fill everything in for you. If you would like to replace the document that's in front of you, you press replace document. If you want new tab, it basically just, now we still have that note, and this explainer is over here. Just again, is more, it depends on how you like to organize things. And yeah, any other questions or anything else you wanted to add?
So, how customizable is the output? Could users just train it to match their coaching style?
So it's extremely customizable, but all of that is done within the actual template management here. So when you're creating a template, all of that customization comes in right here. And it doesn't listen to you. Like a lot of AI tools are something where they'll listen to the conversation and learn that way. We don't use any of your data to train our AI. It is completely based on the templates that are created. And a lot of that is a privacy and safety thing, as well as we found that the template creation just is a little bit more accurate every time. You're getting the same output every time. Once you have a template that works for you, it's pretty much going to work every single time the exact same way, instead of it continuing to adapt or change maybe without you asking it to.
Yeah, and you mentioned safety too. So,
Yeah.
Heidi is compliant with HIPAA, of course, and I'm assuming.
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just to give some context, I think is helpful from a compliance standpoint. So Heidi is global. So we're in Australia, we're in the UK, we're in Canada, we're like all over, I think 50 countries now.
Wow.
So we have to be compliant in every single one of those countries. So our compliance is like extreme, I would dare I say bulletproof. You have nothing to worry about when it comes to your data and safety. And it's also important to mention, say you created this note, you used it, you have it in your own personal storage, and now you don't want us to have it on our server. Once you delete something off of Heidi, it's completely deleted off of all of our servers as well. So you never have to worry about us keeping any information, using any information. All that data is yours.
So, alongside that, does Heidi work with other platforms like Practice Better or Google Docs or something?
Yeah, so we do integrate with a lot of like EHRs. When it comes to other platforms like that, it's mostly like a lot of people do a copy and paste, if I'm going to be honest. So you can always just press copy here and paste it wherever you need it to be. But for some like larger systems like that use EHRs, EMRs, we will integrate. And that's just, another aspect of Heidi.
And speaking of integrations, are there any sort of like export or automation features that users are loving right now?
I would say, I guess like most will be using like that copy and paste if they're not doing specific to like an integration. However, when they are with an integration, you literally have to click one button and it will import all of that information into that other system, basically filling out all of those important boxes for you.
Okay, wait.
Um,
Let's also, can we chat a little bit about that? Yeah, that community
yeah,
section.
I was about to say, yeah, I think it's a really cool part of
So
Heidi. So we've
cool.
got something called our template community. So what we're going to be doing here is basically it gives you a basis for other physicians that are using Heidi and what their templates look like. So we can go down here and click on dietitian. And maybe I only want dietitians that are in the US. So we've now, cleared it out to things just within that, within those filters. So maybe we'll do a dietitian follow up here. So you can see the example note. So this is the output that that note has created, but then you also can look at the template structure. So you can see exactly how this this physician or this dietitian created this note. And then if you really, really like it, maybe there's one or two things you want to change, you can add it to your library. And then from there, you can edit the template as much as you want.
That's so cool. I love that you get to share your resources with other providers. And I do want to clarify that you have to give Heidi permission in order to post it to the community, right? So not all my
Yeah.
custom templates will be available to everyone.
No, like that's something that we would then discuss with you. Say you wanted all of your coaches to have a few templates. That's something that we would just coordinate with you and then work on making sure that they have access there.
Okay, cool. What's next? What are you guys working on next?
Lots of things. So tasks was a newer part of Heidi, which has been going awesome. It's just
Yeah,
so great
I
with like
love that.
medications, referrals, things like that. Just that follow up, it really keeps you like on task. And then the other thing that we're really excited about is our calls option. So a lot of our physicians or coaches, they're have a lot of patients, and maybe they want to do call follow up, but in terms of time, it's so consuming.
Mhm.
So we have a call. We're going to be having a call option that will automatically call your patient for you to do that follow up, and then we'll report back with the information. So it sounds like it's gonna be clunky maybe because it's a robot, but it's actually an extremely
I
human
mean,
voice. It's
AI,
a
yeah,
really well done
so
system.
good now.
Um, yeah, it's crazy how impressive like the system
Yeah.
sounds. But yeah, that's a really really exciting feature that will be coming out pretty soon.
That is so cool because you could, and by the way, I've seen this utilized in companies who sell supplements. So I don't, this is complete tangent, but it just goes to show the creative ways that you can use calls and a call feature, not just for follow-ups, but I know a company that sells supplements online. And as soon as the person pays for their supplement, they get a phone call, and on the phone call, someone sells them into a coaching offer. And they're like, great, you had supplements, but you actually need coaching because the supplements aren't going to do anything. And so it's just, there's probably really creative ways. Like I'm thinking about like the sales call, for example, a follow up call or something like reminder. There's just so many ways that you could probably start investigating. So I'm curious to
Mhm.
see the creative ways that people end up utilizing that call feature. Um,
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us the insights.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's kind of like a cool aspect of Heidi is that like everyone uses it in a very different way, like through telehealth calls, or even like maybe they're on their way home and they have thoughts that they want to get out and they just want to transcribe them talking to themselves about a patient. It's very adaptable.
Mhm.
So, don't feel limited that it's only for patient encounters. There's so much that you can use it for. And, that's the whole point is, again, whatever you would have been creating on your own is what we're trying to replicate, just to save you the time for the stuff that really matters.
Mhm. And Heidi Health is free for everyone, right? So I'm going to drop the link for everyone to be able to join if they would like to. Are there any sort of resources that you want to share or anything like that with the community?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, first of all,
Yay.
it is free for everyone, which is great. The free tier is really wonderful. You can make as many notes as you want within specific templates that we have created. When it comes to that customization aspect, it's more limited. However, we do have a pro version that allows you to make as many customized templates as you like. And for the lovely
Mhm.
coaches, we're offering a month free, basically 30 days free of Heidi Pro just to test it out, see if it's for you. There's no like, you're not locked in or committed. Maybe like the free version, fine, and that's best for you. But you might as well try it, right? So it's 30 days
Right.
free. And
Amazing.
yeah, that'll get you a good idea. And if you need resources from us, we'll make sure that you guys have, enough demos and explanations on how to use Heidi in your practice.
I love that. And I know that we're going to be adding our specific templates that we use as well. So if you're part of our school community, you'll have access to those too. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing all
Of
about this. I think
course.
honestly, there's so many platforms out there. This is the, like, I've used them all, and this is the one that personally I would recommend and I have found the most success with. I think it's so much easier. There's so much more customization. Like I said, we not only use it for like a console call and taking notes, but we use it for different applications. And you don't realize how much time you're spending in between those phone calls. And this is all about what I teach too with core coaches, where it's like, I teach you how to make $800 in an hour, right? Like this is the type of automations that allow you to generate hour by hour by hour more of this. So thank you
Mhm.
for all that you do. We're
Of
super
course,
excited to hear
yeah.
about the calls. And is there anything else that I'm missing that you want to share?
No, not for now. I mean, there's more. Like there's
Yeah.
always going to be more. There's plenty more to like, explain and talk through. So when those if there are questions that come up or if you need more information for us, like we're always a resource to just sort of explain it and help you guys get the best use of it as possible.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Catherine, for hopping on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.